Hi, we're going to be talking about broadcasting today, which is a way to allow your sprites to communicate with each other or to communicate with the stage from a distance without having to touch the other sprite or do anything else with the other sprite. The word broadcasting comes from broad, which means widely or spread out, and casting, which means to throw or send. So what we're doing is we are casting a message broadly to the entire screen and the stage in Scratch, and then the sprites may or may not react to the message depending on how you have programmed your other sprites. So when the sprites receive the message, they're going to do something. Before we begin this, let's take a quick little review of the types of blocks that we have got in Scratch, and we'll look at the ones we're going to use when we're broadcasting. So the first kind we have is the hat blocks, and the hat blocks have what looks like a little hat on top of them, and basically you cannot attach another block above a hat block. A hat block tells you to start doing the rest of the script when something happens, when the green flag is pushed, when a space key or another key is pressed, when a sprite is clicked. Down here it says when I receive message, and for broadcasting that's the one that we're going to be using, the one that says when I receive at message 1. The second type of block is the stack or action blocks. These are the blocks that actually make something happen, and you want to make sure that you understand exactly what's going to happen when you click that block, and you want to make sure that you know the time frame that that's going to happen. So for example, if I push move 10 steps, my cat will take 10 steps, which are tiny little steps towards the right. You will just see the cat in one place, and then you will see the cat in the next place because that happens instantaneously. Similarly, when you tell the cat to go to point X equals 0, Y equals 0, that will center the cat in the middle of your screen. And again, it will happen instantaneously. The third one here says glide 1 second to, and then whatever point. So this would glide for 1 second to the middle of the screen. How fast it goes depends on how far away it is from the point you're going to and how fast you tell it to move. So stack blocks are called stack blocks because they are stacked up under the hat block. So make sure you know what your stack blocks are going to do before you use them. The third kind of block is a reporter block, and reporter blocks gather information to help an action block decide what to do. So reporter blocks are never put by themselves into a program. They are always stuck into a stack block, action block. So you've got the operators, which can actually do some sort of math, and then the results of the math tell the block what to do. They can pick a random number. They also can do something called Boolean operations, where you look for more than one thing to be true, or you look for one thing or another thing to be true, or you look for something not to be true, and that's what's going to tell the sprite what to do. So if the thing in the Boolean operator is true, the sprite will do the action, the action that you have told it to do. Sensing, if the sprite is touching a certain color, or if one color is touching another color, and you can also do a distance to mouse pointer. So these are blocks that sense something and then give the information to the action block so it can decide what to do. If you're not sure what a block can do, you can right-click on the block, and then you can click on Help, and it will tell you exactly what's going on and how to make it work in different directions, and give you any kind of troubleshooting guide that you need. Now here are the blocks we're actually going to use when we are broadcasting. The first one is a hat block, and it tells the sprite that is receiving the message what to do when it gets the message. And you can create your own messages, or you can use messages that Scratch has already made for you. Down below you see the two stack blocks, and these are used by the sprite that is sending the message out. So first you can have one where it just sends the message out and then it keeps going and doing whatever it comes next in its plan. Or you can tell it broadcast the message and wait. And if you do that, The sprite that sends the message will wait until all the other sprites have finished whatever action they're supposed to do when they receive the message, and then that first sprite will go back and do its next move. So you want to be very careful about which one of these you use, because if you use the wrong one, you can end up with glitches in your program, and your program may just stop working. So we're going to give you a couple of challenges to do using broadcasting. And in order to do those challenges, you're going to need a couple of other skills that you might or may not have gotten yet. The first one is showing and hiding the sprite. This is really easy because there is an action block that says show, and there's an action block that says hide. There's a couple of things you want to remember. First of all, if the sprite goes off the stage, and it may still be out there someplace, and you will need to retrieve it before you can do anything else with it. Secondly, if you hide the sprite can still move around even when it is hidden. You're just going to have a hard time figuring out where it is and what it's doing. So remember that hide doesn't get rid of a sprite. It doesn't tell the sprite to stay still. It just doesn't let us or anybody else see the sprite on your screen. The other thing you're going to need to be able to do is change the size of a sprite. Again, this is quite easy because Scratch has action blocks or stack blocks that will make your size change. So you can change the size by a certain amount, okay, either larger or smaller, or you can change the size based on the current size. So change size by 20, then you use change size by 20 again, it gets bigger, bigger, bigger. Or you can set size based on the original size. So if it's 100%, it's the normal size. If it's 50%, it's half size. If it's 200%, it's double size. Now let's get into broadcasting itself. So how might I get the penguin to change colors when I click on Scratch Cat? So you're going to use a stack block or an action block that will broadcast the message. Now remember, Scratch Cat is the one who's broadcasting the message, and the penguin is the one who is getting the message. So the penguin is going to have one of these hat blocks that tell it to change color once it gets the message from Scratch Cat. So Scratch Cat will be clicked. Message 1 will go out. The receiver, who is the penguin, will hear message 1 and knows that it needs to change color. So Scratch Cat, when this sprite is clicked, broadcast the message. Penguin script, when I receive this message, change the color effect. You can create your own message names, and you should name it something that relates to the action you're looking for, because then when you're troubleshooting, you'll be able to figure out more quickly where your broadcasting has gone wrong. So when the Scratch cat is clicked, now we want both the cat and the penguin to change color. Now, the sender, you do not want the sender to be receiving the message as well. The sender already knows the message when they send it. So Scratch Cat's going to send the message and then change color. The penguin is going to receive the message and then change color. So a sender does not send a message to themselves. Doesn't make any sense. It's like me telling myself to stand up. I don't need to do that. I can just stand up. Last, we have playing a sound. So here are some action or stack blocks that will play a sound. One of them plays the sound and then goes to the next block in the script, just like the broadcast message does. And then the second one plays the sound and waits until the sound is finished before moving to the next script. So you want to watch out when you're using wait blocks, when you're using until done blocks, because you need to remember that things are going to stop until that action is completed. So here's a couple of examples. When the flag is clicked, play meow and move 10 steps. So you'll start the sound and the cat will be moving while the sound is still going on. And in the second one, when you click the flag, you'll hear the meow sound, and then the sprite will move. To find out what sounds you have available, just click on the Sounds tab and you can go to the Sounds library. You can make your own sounds, record your own voice, and also upload things that you have found on the internet. So this is an introduction to broadcasting, and now you're going to go ahead and go to the challenge.